And we are live. All right. Welcome to The Lion Show. I'm your host, your favorite business coach, Robert Lyon. And today we have the great pleasure of talking to Maggie. She's a transformologist. She's a holistic nutritionist and just a all-around awesome person. We have a great conversation today. But first, I just kind of like, Maggie, why don't you introduce yourself and tell everybody kind of what you're up to and what you're all about?
Oh, hi. Thank you so much for having me here. This is amazing. I live in Canada at the moment. I was born in Canada, but I grew up in England, so I have a bit of a different accent if people are picking up on that perchance. And I started about 4 years ago this is my 5th year as a holistic nutritionist. And I started doing that because my son had developmental delays. So I started on that path, and then it's just grown and grown and grown. And now I work exclusively with women online, literally, as you said, transformologist, but transforming their lives. And I do that because I've experienced it and I know how freeing it is.
Well, I think you're fighting the good fight for all those fronts. Those are great. Can you just tell me a little bit more about transforming people's lives? Like who do you take from like A to B? Like who is your like target audience kind of, and who are you helping, and like just kind of more a little bit about the transformation? Because I think that's very interesting.
So I use a method that was designed by a woman called Marilyn Shermer, or Maz Shermer. She's Australian. And she developed this method called Creatrix. And we have a team of women, a sisterhood of women, and we work with women all over the world. And what we do is, so when I first started doing what I do, as sort of, I used to call myself a mindset coach, and then I thought, oh, well, maybe a life coach is better. And I was like, no, that doesn't encompass what we do, because we don't do programs. We don't do courses. We work with women individually on their exact issues. And without saying too much about it, because it has IP around it, but basically at a woman's core, we have a lot going on, a lot. And this has been brought to us, that they've done research where we can go back 14 generations of issues, beliefs that have been brought through the female generations that we're carrying around today that aren't even ours. This is your grandmother, your great-grandmother, your great, far, far, far back that aren't even ours. And we're sort of dealing with this. And what we do is we bring those up and out for that woman, and we release them from her. But she does all of the work. We just facilitate the transformation. So she's using her words. She's going through the process herself, and we are facilitating it for safety's sake. Not that there are any safety issues or anything, but we are there to facilitate this beautiful process of bringing the things that she thinks and believes about herself and the world up and out, so that she can then be free to live the most amazing life that she can dream of.
I love that. That's so great. And then I just kind of, do you know who Max Lugavere is?
No.
Oh, no. Well, his mom started having Alzheimer's, so he started doing similar nutrition stuff to you. So I was thinking it was kind of interesting.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And have you been able to find cool nutrition stuff to help your son?
Yes. So when he was about 3 years old, he wasn't saying full sentences. And I knew something was wrong. I mean, then we lived, regular life. We had regular food.
Yeah.
And then we came home one day and he had sort of red blotches on his face. So I knew something was wrong. We took him to a naturopath, didn't really find anything. I mean, he was 3 at the time, so he couldn't really respond to things the way an adult would. So what I did was I talked to a friend of mine and she recommended Weston A. Price. So Weston A. Price was actually Canadian. He was a dentist, and he created the Weston A. Price Foundation. And, it's basically going back to the basics. It's going back to real food, like things that you recognize as food. And so we changed our diets 100%. And at that point in time, we were living in British Columbia. And so I bought part of a cow share. And so we had raw milk, raw dairy, all organic food. And I just did it full on. Within 3 weeks, he said his first sentence.
Wow.
And from then on, I was like, okay, this is what I'm doing for the rest of my life.
Yeah, no,
totally. When we moved to London, Ontario, there was a school here, and then I went to school, and it'll be 5 years this year. And he's in grade 7 right now.
Yeah,
He still
doing great.
struggles a little bit. He's still not where he should be, and that could be from different factors. But food was a massive game changer.
Yeah, that's so awesome. I love it. You really got to go all in, and once you go in on the good foods and all the good stuff, you're on a really just kind of good path. So I love all that. You just took me on a roller coaster, and I just really appreciate it. So we want to talk about success and how women and men are different. I think I'd like you to maybe set the stage of kind of your thinking and why this is so interesting of a conversation, and that we can kind of get into it.
Well, again, in our Sisterhood of Transformology, we have a lot of resources that we can use to share with other people. And I was listening to something recently that really struck a chord with me. So for years, I have been an entrepreneur, particularly in the past 5 years, I've been trying to build a nutrition business, or at least for the first 3 years, I've now changed track. But I was taught a certain way to do things. Like, you have to do all of the things. You got to do social media. You got to find your niche. You've got to do, you got to do your website. You do. Then you can have all the things that you want. You can have the successful business. You can have the $1 million. You can have the office by the beach, in order to be happy. I thought that was what everybody had to do. And if it wasn't successful, then it was you that was the problem. Why? I'm obviously not doing enough. I need to do more.
Yeah,
I need to have a better website, do more social media, do more workshops, all of the doing things. And it's not that way for women. And a light bulb went on in me. I was like, oh my gosh, this is why, things are sent to you for a reason. This is why I'm listening to this. This is why I'm reading this, because women, we're so complex and we're so different from men that if we just tapped into that, we'd be able to create the life that we want. We don't start with all the doing. We have to start with being. We have to start with being happy, which radiates out. It's like a ripple effect. It radiates out to having the things that we want and doing the things that we want. And that comes back. And in fact, we don't actually have to do a lot of the doing, because if we are happy, that just shines through for us. And we influence our family, our communities, the people around us, which then comes back into people wanting to work with us or do business with us, or whatever that looks like for you, with very, very little mindset change. Men, they're very linear. They can do 80% mindset change and they're good to go. But women, it's like 80% heart set change. We have to change our heart set. Like,
heart set.
Get rid of all the stuff in the core. I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not smart enough. Money is evil, or, all the things that you hear. If you resent people with money, guess what happens? You won't earn any money. You won't earn a lot of money, because your energy is, I resent people who have money. Well, then why would money come to you?
Yeah.
So it's that ripple effect.
I mean, what you're saying is so profound, because, I'm not a woman, obviously, but I do get the perception that women actually have to work harder in the workplace, right? So then the men are all like, do. And then if a woman, a leader, kind of steps into that role, they want her to do as well, and maybe even do harder. And then this is where you hear about the stories of women working so hard, like they pass out, and then their whole lives have to become something different. And it's just such a good message that you have of saying that if they change their heart set as well as probably the mindset, they can get more done. I believe women are great delegators. They can tell the best leaders should be women, and the best employees more than anything. But I love that idea, because it's definitely the mainstream media of like the men business and working type is all about, you got to do more marketing, more sales, more phone calls, 10x everything. And the more I learn about entrepreneurship and business, it's really, you need to figure out who, not how. You need to find people that can do a better job than you. You need to find people that can really step into certain roles instead of you doing everything. Because at this point, there's just so much that you could be doing. It's insane. What's more important is really figuring out what works and then stop doing the things that don't work. So I don't know. I just think it's very interesting to think about. And of course, all the women in my life, I definitely see exactly what you're saying. How if they try and like, they do everything just as much as me, But if they had more of a ripple and just a heart set and a good mindset, instead of me telling everybody how I think things should be, I don't know. It's just an interesting way to get to success, no matter what.
Yeah. And women are trying to fit into this mold.
Yeah.
Well, because they don't know there's a different way, but they're trying to fit into this mold of, and the thing is, women are wired to worry, right? We're wired to worry. That's our biology, but we're not wired to worry about a job, a spreadsheet, CEOs, we're wired to worry about our family, our children, our partner, our grandchildren, our community. So, you compound our natural worry and then you put everything else on top.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, it's not a good recipe going on right now.
For sure. So I'm a U.S. Army veteran, and ever since I was served in Afghanistan, ever since then, I kind of don't have the anxiety that most people do, because I'm just this is not that bad all the time. But then my girlfriend, she has anxiety, and it's just one of those clashes that we have. She's like, you should be more fucking worried about these things, and I'm just like, I don't have it. I should, apparently, I've kind of numbed it to a sense. So, but on the same hand, she keeps everything nice and organized and on point, whereas I'm more loosey goosey. So we kind of collaborate in that way. But I just see what you're saying. Just anxiety is definitely a different issue. It's a different beast for everybody. You can't tell somebody to be less stressed out or more stressed out. It's kind of your own thing. And when you're in it, when you're suffering from anxiety, it's a real issue. It's a crippling thing that you really should take care of yourself. And I think a lot of people have a hard time stopping and then taking care of themselves. And I think that's a big issue for so many people.
100%. We're taking care of others because
Yeah.
we think there's this limiting belief that we think that if we take care of ourselves first, we're being selfish.
Right.
When if we don't take care of ourselves, we can't take care of other people the way that we would like to.
Yeah.
Because we're burnt out.
Totally. And I had a revelation recently where it was in order to achieve success, I really have to get a extreme clarity of what success is for me. And I think so many people don't have that. They watch in Instagram and YouTube and this or that or the other thing. And they say, oh, if that's what success looks like, I want that. But they don't actually have a personal definition of what that would look like. So they're just going at a goal full speed, not knowing what they're doing, what they're getting there. And then I wind up coaching these business owners as well, who start a big business and actually get some success. And then they realize, oh crap, I have to run this business now. And then they're stressed and they're screwed, and it's not the success that they wanted. So that's just another perspective on success, but it's just kind of a funny thing that I see happening all the time.
So, very true.
Yeah. Well, that's so cool. I'm still very interested in the transformologist. I just think I love that word for some reason. And I'm a business coach, and I've read every business book. And I sometimes just think, well, business is now boring and small. Maybe I should go become a life coach. And I know, as you say, life coach is kind of I don't know, it's kind of a gross word. No offense to anybody, but it's it's one of those things that just has been said too many times. But when you step into that role of somebody's transforming people who are taking them from A, where we're struggling, and then they have to get to B, it's just it's a very delicate balancing process that I think takes some skills. And what does it look like when you're helping people to level up their life? How do you get people to, I think it says on your website, break through their barriers? Do you have any insight on how you get there, or how you help them do that?
Well, they have to be ready.
Right.
And the way that we do that is we give them a certain amount of tests beforehand. Wow. So, we'll give them a 7-day writing. We call it a test. There's no right or wrong. It's not graded, but we'll give them a 7-day or 14-day test. And you'll say to them, you'll be very specific. You need to fill this in 3 times a day and send it to me every night for 7 days. And they get one chance to do it. If they don't do it, so we have a thing called when we take on clients, they have to be right and ready. Every woman is right for creatrix, but not every woman is ready. Because if they do the 7 days and they complete it in its entirety, 7 days done, there you go, then you can take the conversation further. It's not like a life coach or a business coach where we potentially take on everyone. Right. We are very, very selective. Yeah. So if they say do 3 days and then you don't hear anything, and they come back to say, oh, I'm so sorry, life got in the way, got busy. Okay, that's no problem. You're just not ready yet.
Yeah.
And then, they can try again in a little while. But the reason we do that is because I don't know if there are any coaches out there who can guarantee an outcome for their client.
Right.
I can guarantee you're going to make $1 million. I can guarantee that you're going to lose 50 pounds, whatever. We can actually do that. We guarantee that our clients will be gone of the issues that we work on together.
That's incredible. And like, give me an example
We're
of what
so
they would.
confident.
Yeah. Give me an example of kind of what they write or what you tell them to write in these pages.
It's sort of, you take 3 times a day and you ask them to write, what they're thinking, what they're doing. Did anything trigger them? It's about having to stop. It's making it inconvenient, because if it was convenient, it would be too easy.
Right.
It's the inconvenience of having to do it 3 times a day to really sit there and think, okay, what's going on for me right now? What am I thinking? What has happened during the day? Has anything triggered me? That is proving to us and to them that they're ready to say, yep, I want this gone. I just want whatever it is going on, gone. I'm done. I'm ready.
That's so powerful, because I do this thing every now and then where I do morning pages. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but you just wake up and you write like a full page. And I always have such massive breakthroughs, and then I kind of stop doing it after a while. So I love the idea of having somebody hold you accountable, writing down, what's going on, what's going through your day. I see how that's just incredibly powerful. So cahoots to
And
you.
we
I
have
think
something
that's so cool.
very similar to your writing. It's called the red letter words.
Oh.
So you can do it for 7 days or 14 days, but in the morning you would do exactly the same thing. You'd wake up and you'd free write. No editing, no thinking about it, no erasing and rewriting. You'd just free write for 5-10 minutes. Put it to one side. Later on in the day, when you've got a free 15 minutes, you go back and you read what you've read. And you circle in a red pen the words that stop you from doing things or are judgmental. Things like can't, should, must, need, have to. You'd circle them and you would change that sentence. For example, you might say something like, I have to wake up this morning and I must make breakfast for everyone. Seems like a reasonable sentence. Yeah. But then you would go back and you would say, I get to wake up this morning and it's my choice to make breakfast for everyone.
Ooh.
Totally different start to the day, totally different energy.
Yeah, you help people work with their inner dialogue to make it a more positive. That's fantastic. So this is, I don't know where it's at, but so I got 2 younger sisters, and I realize now I'm always telling them to do. So kind of going back to the success thing. I think they might have, certain things with confidence. I think that's what it is, because I'm an entrepreneur. I start like businesses all the time, and then I'm trying to get like them doing more stuff. Like my little sister's a writer. She's actually published 2 books and she's doing really well, but I want to keep on, making her do more stuff apparently. So what do you think for the women out there? Like, how do you not motivate, but just help boost confidence? If you have any insight on that, just like I said.
I think they have to get to their heart center. They have to look into their heart and see what is important to them. Uh-huh. Not what their brother who's, an aspiration. Oh my gosh, I just want to be like him, or their father, or, their husband who wants them to be successful. Right. What does it mean for them? What does their heart say? And if their antenna is a little broken, the intuition, the female intuition is a little bit rusty right now, because, one major thing is digestion. You were talking before about nutrition. Yeah. What we eat and what we consume can either heighten our intuition or it can dull it. Right? It has that power. So think about, okay, what resonates with me? Brush the dust off the antenna and think, okay, what do I want? What's important to me? What are my values? What are my beliefs? Write them down and then see if they're real. Like if a belief is, I'm not good enough, I'll never be a good writer. Is that true? Do you really believe that is true? No. Okay, scratch it out. What do you actually believe? Right. Having something, as you say, written down in front of you is very powerful, and reflecting it back and actually questioning, do I actually believe this, or have I got this from somewhere else? If I acquired it from reading something, being told something, being shown something, that as women we absorb just in the environment, in the natural environment that we're in. And most of the things are not particularly positive.
Yeah. No, I love that. Your intuition is definitely on points. And I agree with the diet thing. Like I'm worried, like a lot of friends take like antidepressants, and then the antidepressants totally screws up their gut, and they're not taking enough care. They're not eating good enough food. And I think that is a big, huge problem we have, especially, in America, is just like poor food plus antidepressants. You lose complete sight of your intuition, and like, you don't know what to do in life. And like you said, blowing the dust off your antenna, like it has to happen. Like you need to have like something to go towards. Otherwise life becomes a drag in many senses, because you don't know what you're doing. You get lost in social media, and it's just a downward spiral. So
100%. And just a little thing on nutrition that I talk to a lot of my nutrition clients about is that women have a bigger prefrontal cortex. And what this is a decision-making part of the brain. So when you're eating inflammatory foods, let's say, refined carbohydrates, sugar, alcohol, it actually makes you, I don't like to use this word, but actually makes you dumber. It actually creates this perpetual cycle of making not so great decisions, either in life or in your food choices, because it's inflammation. Your brain is inflamed. It's no fault of your own. If you're addicted to certain foods, or you have no willpower, look at your diet that you're having right now. Is it full of refined carbohydrates, sugar, alcohol, medications, those kind of things? Those things are increasing the inflammation in your body, which affects your prefrontal cortex, which has you making not so great choices.
Right. I definitely want to rage a war on inflammation. I think that's just like the biggest downfall. We don't need war on drugs, war on inflammation. Eat better food, exercise, and all that stuff. And it is just sad to see people that, like I feel like my daddy is such a smart guy, but he definitely has inflammation from medication and poor food choices and things like that. And as he grows older, he slowly is like, that spark that he had of his amazing intelligence, like kind of dwindles, and you have to watch it. And you try and tell people how to eat better, but eating is such like a personal thing for people, they have, and he won't listen. He doesn't listen. And he's a nutritionist, and he was back in the day, and he was a big health guy. And he tries to eat well, but it's just like, just seeing the downward fight, that he has to go through. And like, just motivates me to tell people, eat better, try and get off as many pharmaceuticals as you can, and just war on it. Have a war, your own war on inflammation, cold showers and meditate or yoga.
But they have to be ready as well.
Yeah.
They've got to want to do that. Yeah. And maybe it's getting to their heart center and saying, do you want to be around for the next 20 years to see your children, grandchildren, or whatever it is? If you do, then maybe that's something that really gets them in the heart center and has them thinking, okay, I see your point.
Have them wake up a little bit. Just want to shake people sometimes. Well, that's so cool. I saw that you had a quiz on your website too to help people break through. What does that do for, like, if people want to check that out, or if I want to go do it right now, what am I going to get?
It's a really simple 2 or 3 minute quiz that just gives you a little bit of insight. And I email people directly. I don't have a staff. There's just me. So I'll respond with some insights into that. And we just start a conversation. That's all it is. It's just, I don't send, a lot of people emails. That's not the way I come from my heart. I'm more of a showing up on social media and having a conversation or sharing something funny. I'm not really into sending a ton of emails, if that's what people are worried about. But they'll get a couple of insights into what's holding them back, and if they're ready to start changing. Have they ever invested in themselves?
Yeah.
Most people have never invested in themselves. So, that's a process it's all a process. You have to start off small and then allow that relationship to grow.
Yeah. It is such a big, like, aha moment when you realize, oh, I'm in control of my life. I could actually invest in all the good things, and I could be better and do it. I remember, like, before, I had that idea was never in my mind. It wasn't like read books, learn stuff. And then one day, like, everything kind of just, I had one of those catastrophes in life, and I was like, okay, maybe I could do something better. And then it just slowly built from there. Read every single book you get a hands on. But how do you, you just can't really work with people that aren't ready to change. They have to be willing to change, right? So you have to help.
That's when things stick. If you're open to it and you're ready for change, that's when things stick.
Yeah. Once they make their mindset plan, I guess.
And people may never be ready, and that's okay. That's their path.
Yeah. That's crazy. I want to talk again about this nothing box. What was I think the audience would be funny as well. You said there was somebody on YouTube. He said that men
Yeah,
have a nothing box.
it's hilarious. Video on YouTube. I can't remember who did it. Hilarious. So yeah. So this man has two figureheads, and one's a woman, one's a female. Sorry, one's a woman, one's a male. And then he goes on to, and it makes total sense that men have a nothing box, so that when you say to your husband, your partner, your son, whoever's a man, say, "What are you thinking about?" and they say nothing, they're literally thinking about nothing. They're not trying to say cover it up, or they're literally thinking about nothing, because men can compartmentalize, job, car or truck, wife, girlfriend, food, nothing touches. They're just separate boxes that they go into. And when they're in that zone, they're in that zone. When they're doing their gaming, they're gaming. You ask them something, they have no recollection of what you asked them. But with women, we're like this ball of string, or a ball of those, elastic bands. Everything is interconnected. There's no way you can get to the center of it, because everything touches something else that means something else that belongs to someone else. And it's just, we're never thinking about nothing. Even when we're sleeping, we're never thinking about nothing. We are different. And there's a reason that we're different. There's a biological reason that we're different, which has allowed us to still be here. So, it's just a fact.
Yeah. Well, I definitely have a nothing box, and I get yelled at sometimes for hanging out in there a lot.
I think that, if women tapped into that a little bit more and thought, what must that be like? I'm going to try that and see what happened. There might be a little bit of magic going on there.
I think I'd get yelled at if I told my girlfriend to check into your nothing box. No.
Why don't we go to the nothing box together?
There we go. That's the right way. I love it. Oh man. Well, that's so fun. You have any other insights about the success you think that between men and women you'd like to share with everybody?
I just think that, as women, we do need to do it different. We need to do it differently. And, a lot of people say, face the fear and do it anyway, and I'm just like, that's not how we work. Like, we'll be like, okay, I'm really scared, but in my heart center, my intuition tells me this is a really good thing. And I know my stuff. I'm just going to go out there. It's very different from going, just feel the fear, rah, rah, rah. It's not how we do it. So if we embrace that and be like, okay, there is something different. There is a different system. There is a female success formula that I can follow that really feels more intuitive to me. Okay, so how do I be more happy? How do I have less stress? How do I find this? I'm not really into balance. That's another thing that we should maybe talk about, balance. I don't believe in balance. I don't think there's any such thing as balance. What I think is, and I heard this somewhere recently, was that you're balancing on one leg, you're holding onto the wall, you're maybe holding a plate with the other, and you're just you're counterbalancing.
Yeah.
Because things have different weights in your life. Your business might have a big weight in your life. Your children might have a big weight, but then grocery shopping might have a small, whatever that looks like for you. Not everything has the same amount of balance in it. Some things are more important than other things. So I think it's a question of counterbalancing, for women mainly, some men, but counterbalancing. I'm a single mom and I've got two boys, and they go to visit their dad every other weekend. So it's balance, right? My weeks are never the same, yet I've got to keep it the same for them. Yet I've got a business to run, and I, work online. And so it's just about balance and knowing that that's okay. Right. We don't have to show that we're perfect all the time. In fact, any of the time.
That's
and
the story
the more
nobody says.
The more we can open up and say, you know what? Yeah, I'm a single parent. Yeah, I have two kids. I'm in my 50s. So what?
Yeah,
I'm still doing it, and I'm doing it my way. And if people resonate with you, and if you're going from the heart, your intuition is good, it's that ripple effect.
Yeah.
People will come to you. People will want to work with you. They'll want to be friends with you. They'll want to collaborate with you, because it's what you're putting out. And if you're sort of fighting against the male-dominated society of rah, 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 go, 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 do, as we talked before, the Tony Robbins, the Gary Vaynerchuks, Joe Dispenza in some level, but a lot of the gurus are male.
Right.
And, as women, we're looking at them thinking, oh, yeah, that makes total sense, but it doesn't work for us. So we're fighting against ourselves all the time. We're fighting against something that is proven to work, but not for us, or for very few women. For some women it does, but we're talking about the majority of women. They will resonate. The small minority of women will resonate with the things that those men do, but the vast majority won't. They will get burnt out. They'll have anxiety. They will, have chronic fatigue syndrome. All of these symptoms will start to come up. And that's the body saying, hey, this isn't the way that we're supposed to be doing this. This is a wake-up call. And, I always say that the body will tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, this is wrong. This isn't working for us. And it will keep tapping until it has to shout at you, and it will drop you on your knees and say, I told you. I've been telling you for the past few years, this isn't working for you, and you didn't listen. Now this is going to happen.
It's one of the most important things, is to listen to your body when it needs something.
And it happens with women so easily if we look for those signs. If you look at your cycle every month, there's signs there. Are you in that heart center, or is it difficult? If it's difficult, that's a sign to say that the body is not happy.
Wow.
So we get those indications all the time. We just ignore them.
So does your intuition say that you should always listen to your intuition?
When it's nice and shiny and clean, yes.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good way to do it. If you're in line.
A lot of women, myself included, I ignored it for 12 years. I ignored that tap on my shoulder for 12 years until it shouted at me. I was like, okay, I'm listening now. But, we always, there's that, but they'll change. But this will happen. Oh, it must be me. Oh, it must be my hormones.
Yeah.
Is it really? Are you just saying yeah?
Yeah. I try and listen to my intuition sometimes, but it doesn't. I mean, I'm fairly good. I'm in tune, but I like what you say, where if you dust off the antenna and you're really in touch with yourself, then you can actually listen to your intuition and well, I guess you can do the things that you're really wanting to do and just be happier for sure. I think when you listen to your intuition, but there's always that logical part of the brain that's like, no, it's stupid. Get back to work or something.
That's your subconscious. I think we use about 10% of our conscious brain, and probably about 90% of our subconscious brain is buried. Like the iceberg analogy.
Uh-huh.
And if we only work on the conscious mind, so that's what mindset does really. We're only working on the conscious mind. So you can say affirmations all day long. You can put little sticky notes on your window. You can say mantras, but that's just working at it from a conscious level. That's not changing anything subconsciously. So it's not going to stick. It's like repeating something, it's like a habit,
Huh.
If you have bad habits, it's because you repeated them, but it's not changing anything at the subconscious level, which is what I work with women, which is the creatrix magic, is that we work with them to create a list of issues that they have that are stopping them from living the life that they want. And women can have anything between 30 and 50 issues that they write down that we work on. Huh. Imagine having 50 issues that are so painful to you that you just, I have to have this gone. This is ruining my life.
Well, imagine not having those 50 issues anymore because you fixed them.
Exactly.
That's a whole nother breakthrough level right there. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, I like thinking about the subconscious and manifesto and all that stuff. It's just, I don't know where the subconscious is. I don't know how to tap into it. There's so many rumors, like it's like in your sleep, or if you just get really in touch with yourself, or it's like, it's just one of those kind of, I don't want to say woo-woo because I know it's there. I know that it definitely negotiates, parts of my life somehow, but it's hard to tap into that, I guess. So how do you think about it? Like what's your opinion?
Well, the subconscious allows you to live. Right. You don't think about your heart beating every few seconds. Yeah. You don't have to think about swallowing. You don't have to think about your digestion. It's done for you. Yeah. What does that? That's your subconscious. No, that's magic. How you drive a car from A to B. When you think, how did I get here?
Right.
Your subconscious just took control. So we need those. We need that subconscious programming to some extent for us to remember that if we put our hand on a hot flame, it's going to burn. So don't do that. Or or red lights coming up, but I'm listening to some music, but I know I have to stop at the red light. You don't necessarily think about it. It's just something that you do. It keeps you alive most of the time.
Right. So say somebody does have something that's stopping them in their lives. How do you go about having the person like get over that hurdle? Do you have a recipe? Is it the writing? Is it let's say they're ready to change, and they're looking at this problem they have and they want to break through. What's the next step for somebody, or how do you help them?
So if they've done the write and readiness challenges that we sent them, then we would have a conversation with them. And we're so thorough in what we do. So we have a contract. We make sure there are safety procedures in place. So, we don't take on certain people who are, depending on if they're taking medications that might affect something, or they stop, or they've been drinking, or things like that. It's all about safety. That's our utmost importance. So we want to make sure that people have a clear mind when they do the creatrix sessions, because that's the way that you're going to get your breakthrough. And then what we do is we work with the client to get their list of issues. And then we go through the process. Now, I can't talk about the process because it's IP, but when it's a fun thing to do.
Cool.
That's about the most like that. It's a fun thing to do. And the one thing that we emphasize with people is if they've had trauma in their past, they do not and will not have to relive that trauma in order to let it go.
Yeah.
That is not what we do. They can write something about that event, and it could be a sentence that means something to them, and then we will get rid of that sentence that means something to them, which means they don't have to relive that trauma, but the feeling or the belief that went with that trauma is now gone.
So you kind of reprogram the way that they think about the event in a way, or that you reprogram how they feel
let
about
it go.
They let it go.
Yeah, they get some wisdom around whatever it was, and they themselves let it go. And we work with them until they let it go.
So interesting. Just so much in life is just about letting stuff go. I mean, meditation, yoga, you just kind of once you get so much more clarity, and just you live a better life if you're not carrying around all the baggage and all the trauma and all the mess, that so many people do. And it is very hard
100%.
to I don't know why we're so stuck with our, I guess it's a safety thing. It's like you're saying, if I touch the fire, I have to carry around inside of me, fire bad, don't touch the fire. So if you have a trauma, you got to carry it around because that was so bad, we don't want to experience again. Yeah. So you just have to learn to let go.
And with women, when we experience a trauma, depending on what it is, even if it's an argument that you had with your spouse or your boyfriend or your best friend, and let's say it was 5 years ago, if you revisit that trauma in your mind doesn't know that it's not real. It doesn't know it's a memory. It fires exactly the same hormones that it did 5 years ago. So you're repeating the process. Whenever you think about something that somebody said, somebody did, somebody wronged you, whatever that was, every time you think about that, it's the same flood of hormones that go through your body, and it's the same stress response. So you can imagine if you're brooding on something, or you're thinking about something that happened however long ago, your hormones are in turmoil the whole time you're thinking about that.
Yeah, we're still scared of the saber tooths and stuff like that. But that's crazy that your brain releases those chemicals, and then you get addicted to those chemicals, and you create patterns in your life with those chemicals. We're all just a big mess.
Well, we don't have to be.
Yeah, that's why we need coaches. Well, that's funny. I just have enjoyed this conversation so much. How about you share with everybody kind of where the best places to get in contact and the best way to reach you would be?
Well, there's obviously the website, which is MaggieChilton.com. I'm on Instagram, which is MaggieChilton_transform. I have a YouTube channel, Maggie Chilton. I'm actually on TikTok, which sounds funny, but in these times, in these days, oh my gosh, we all need to laugh. So you can find me on there. I think I'm Maggie Chilton 1. Yeah, those would be about the three. I'm on Facebook as well, Maggie Chilton, but I don't go on there as much. I like the fun platforms, the things that you can create an energy and an emotion and a vibe. That's what I like.
We're all going to have to check out your TikTok now. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh gosh, why did I say that?
I'm just kidding. Oh, well, this has been such a great conversation. Is there anything else you want to share before we take off? Or
I'd say go on my website and take the quiz. It's 2 or 3 minutes, and you'll get a little bit of an insight, and we can maybe start a conversation.
Perfect. Well, I think that's great. I think we're going to wrap it up. You're a rock star. Thank you again. Thanks everybody for listening.
Yeah, it's been so much fun. I enjoyed it.
All right. Bye, everybody.